G'day guys, Dave Lee coming at you once again from Down Under. In this video, I'll be taking a look at the latest release from Warner Brothers Pictures and Village Roadshow Distribution. Starring Sandra Bullock, Cate Blanchett, Anne Hathaway, Mindy Kaling, Sarah Paulson, Awkwafina, Rihanna, and Helena Bonham Carter. It is Ocean's 8. Ocean's 8 picks up about 11 years after the previous entry in the Ocean's franchise, Ocean's 13, and this time focuses on Danny Ocean's younger estranged sister, ex-con Debbie Ocean, as she assembles a team of 8 uniquely talented women to help her pull off the heist of the century. Steal a $150 million 18th century French diamond necklace in plain sight at the most exclusive gala in the world, New York's Met Gala. Ocean's 8 follows what's becoming a fairly regular pattern of movies recently, and that's that this acts as a kind of reboot to the popular early to mid 2000s Ocean's franchise, which starred George Clooney, Matt Damon and Brad Pitt, albeit kind of thinly veiled as a sequel. There are some nice callbacks to the original trilogy, some references to Danny Ocean, his team and their jobs, and for the most part these work really well and actually add to the enjoyment of this movie. The movie is also presented in the same style, jazzy soundtrack, snappy dialogue and fast-paced editing, feeling like a natural, almost organic progression of the hit franchise. However, on the other hand, this one pretty much takes the premise of the original film, Ocean's 11, which was actually in turn a remake of the 1960 Frank Sinatra Dean Martin flick, Ocean's 11, and tries to do it slightly different, this time with women. Not only is the premise of this one the same, let's pull off the ultimate heist in plain sight, but a lot of the beats are exactly the same too. The same twists, the same turns, and a lot of the same gags and ideas. While some of these are pulled off fairly well, and there are quite a few unexpected moments in the movie, you can't help but think that yes, this is just another reboot of this now generations old story. At times it's almost like this movie doesn't know if it wants to be a sequel or a reboot. It tries to escape the shadow of the all-male ensemble franchise that preceded it, while at the same time also trying to be those movies. Reminding us at every step of the way, hey guys, don't forget this is an Ocean's movie, not just some random female heist flick. And look, to be completely honest, this didn't bother me at all. I actually really enjoyed this movie and had quite a bit of fun in it. I also really liked the way that this movie retained the continuity of the original franchise instead of completely disregarding it. You know, this movie so easily could have gone down that Ghostbusters route, started fresh and then demoted George Clooney down to random cab driver cameo. I'm so glad that this movie didn't do that. But I do kind of wish that for its own sake, this movie had dared to be a little bit different. You know, in some way become its own unique thing. But maybe that is the entire point of this thing. Maybe in order for this to establish itself within the wider Ocean's universe and to win over the fans of the original trilogy, it had to be somewhat familiar, allowing it to maybe branch off in different directions for following sequels. And look, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, but at the same time, let's be honest, there are going to be sequels to this. This is going to be successful enough to warrant some sequels. And look, there's no coincidence that this movie is called Ocean's 8, so that in 5 years or so down the line, we will have Ocean's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. There's just no coincidence behind that. So does Ocean's 8 pull off being an Ocean's movie, or does it come off as like a cheap knockoff? Surprisingly, yes, it pulls it off really, really well. And despite its few issues and its few faults, and despite feeling like an enormous reboot, not at one point does this movie feel like a knockoff, or a cheap one at that. This movie is, look, it's a whole lot of fun, and I think I may have got extra enjoyment from it considering I haven't watched the originals for some time, and they're not all that fresh in my mind. That said, anyone who hasn't seen the originals shouldn't find themselves too lost in this, except during moments where there are some more obvious or obscure references to the previous movies, but there's not a whole lot of them. Yeah, look, I think this is a pretty decent entry into the franchise. I thought all the players here were really good. Sandra Bullock is the perfect choice to take over from George Clooney. She may not have the cool, but she does have the class to pull it off. Ocean's 8 is funny, entertaining, and a pretty exciting ride, and a worthwhile movie. Sure, this is one of those movies that didn't need to be made, but I have no problems with it being here. I have no problems with the continuation of franchises, as long as they can keep telling good, fresh stories. And while this may not be all that fresh, it does show promise for future installments. And in fact, I think it's probably even a more decent installment than Ocean's 12 or even Ocean's 13. But again, I haven't watched those in a while, so I can't be too sure of that. If you enjoyed the previous Ocean's movies or just really like the idea of a feisty female heist flick starring a whole lot of great actresses, then I really recommend you checking this one out. This is not a movie that degrades, demeans, or denounces the previous movies, but one which actually celebrates them. And for that, I actually really admire this one. With that, I am happy to award Ocean's 8 with a very easy and I think very reasonable 3 out of 5. While Ocean's 8 tries to revitalise a now 17-year-old franchise, it struggles between trying to be a sequel and trying to be a reboot. Despite this, the movie's strong cast and exciting plot lead to an adventure that's a lot of fun and a worthwhile entry in the Ocean's franchise. I'm looking forward to what's next. Thank you once again to my wonderful friends over at Village Roadshow for providing me with in-season passes to check out Ocean's 8 for the purposes of this review, and thanks to absolutely everybody out there for watching. If this is your first time viewing my channel, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like this in the future, then please hit that big old subscribe button up on your screen right now and hit that like button down below. Also, don't forget to check out my many social media accounts and please consider supporting me over on Patreon. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope I'll see you all again soon. Until next time, take care and I hope you have a wonderful day.